rise and light stories told. We talk weekly, it's the vibe we share. Plug in, lean back, feel the air. We talk weekly, let the rhythm flow. From the hardest tricks to the studio glow. Tune in, feel the pulse of the scene. It's more than a show, it's the in-between. We talk weekly, we talk weekly, we talk weekly. Yeah. It's more than a show, it's the in-between. We talk weekly, we talk weekly, we talk weekly. Yeah, it's more than a show, it's the in-between. Turn it down, we're live tonight. Stories that spark and set minds alight. City beats flow through the stream. Bro talk, no cap, it's more than a dream. Mics on fire, we're breaking the mold. Voices rise and life stories told. We talk weekly, it's the vibe we share. Plug in, lean back, feel the air.
Yeah. We Talk Weekly. It's definitely in the building. We Talk Weeklies after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gergen. The beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful. I can't hear you. One more again.
It was on.
There we go. It was on. It was on. It was on.
Lady
It was
Esther.
all a dream. So we got a dynamic show for you today. I've been super busy today, man. I can't even get my thoughts together. Super excited about today though, because we have a dynamic interview coming in that we have been anticipating for a long time, and we're super excited about just everyone who has been watching. So if you're watching right here now, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you become a friend to a friend of We Talk Weeklies. Make sure you continue to follow us and share. We've been making a lot of headway lately, so we want to make sure that you guys are following some of the things that we have been doing. So I'm super excited about that. So before I start with anything, why don't start with you, Sizzle? How was your day?
My day was pretty cool. Had a lot of stuff to do. So just want to send a shout out to everybody for all your birthday wishes and all that. Thank you so much.
Hold on 1 second. We just had this is just acting up real quick. Hold on. We'll be right back, y'all.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Selamat ulang tahun. Happy birthday.
I love you more.
No doubt. I don't know. That was funny. So how was your birthday today? What did you do?
Actually, my birthday was yesterday, but
your events, everything you celebrating is today, right?
I kind of did that yesterday. And then today tomorrow I'm gonna do some stuff, with my family.
No doubt. You going away again? What you doing?
Hanging out and stuff.
Yeah.
No. I had some other plans, but I kind of got changed, some family issues.
Okay. No doubt.
Yeah.
It's not a birthday, it's a birth week. It's birth month,
exactly.
So you spread it out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're supposed to do?
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Schedules be crazy the older you get, man. You gotta spread the floor.
Right, exactly. You can't limit it to just one day. You gotta be.
I know. I ain't been one day for a while.
That's funny. No doubt. And so, yeah, another lap around the sun. So I wish you more, that we'll say a Millie Moore, 100 years. You'd be 100 years old. What would you do at 100? They call it, you would then become a centenarian. I think that's what they call it. Centenarian or something like that. And so what would you do if you reached 100? What would you do?
Drinking my
celebrating
water,
that birthday?
minding my business.
I
know, right?
That's funny.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do? Yeah, sit down, laying on the beach, still getting your tan, something like that, right? No, he said, nah, no doubt. Well, happy birthday to you and all that good stuff.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Lady Esther, holla at me. How was your day?
My day was great for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was filled with SLEEP.
That's what I need right now.
so much needed REST.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about these days. I just got off a crazy work schedule.
No doubt.
12-hour days for the last 6 weeks. So I'm burnt. Today was the first day I had nothing on my schedule early in the morning to where I had to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And I took advantage of that. Like, nope. Phone off, everything off.
I know that's right.
I just needed one of those days. So
rejuvenation. Yeah, as it should be. Yeah, for me, it's just been a long day, too long. Couple days, no sleep at all. I'm dragging it day, so hopefully once our interviews come in, I'll pipe back up. Yeah. I should have got my coffee.
I saw dreary and rainy out.
I didn't know it was
raining. You know I was asleep. I didn't even know it was raining. I didn't know what was happening outside today.
It's definitely. Yeah. I try not to drink coffee. I try not to, but I won't drink. I try not to drink coffee at night because then I'll be up and then have to get up early again in the morning and I can't get sleep. Yeah, and I'm tired. And
that was the only thing I wanted today was Starbucks, but I ain't feel like going outside to get it.
That's funny.
So I ain't get that either. I was like, back to sleep.
Get some sleep. All right, so before we get to you doing the sizzle early? What you going? What time is? Can you do the sizzle early? You ready for that?
Yeah, we can.
All right, so let's go to a break real quick so you can get prepared. Let's go to one of our folks. We're gonna go to Milano. Milano, we seen her in a event where she was having a nice little conversation, sit down conversation, which was pretty cool. Milano De Rouge. So she is a designer here in Philadelphia. She mostly designs a lot of athleisure wear, casual clothing from Philadelphia, and I thought that was pretty interesting on her talk. And so you can see a lot of this on, of course, We Talk Weekly, but here's a little clip. We'll be right back after the show.
Mamaneer Club.
Say that again.
Mamaneer Club.
Mamaneer. That's a hard word. Mamaneer. Can y'all say that?
The Mamaneer Club. I started the Mamaneer Club when I was pregnant with my son. I was learning so much, and I didn't realize how many options that we had. Like growing up in the hood, options not really presented to you. You just feel like you got to follow suit with whatever people say you got to do. And as I started to do my research, I'm like, okay, a lot of people could benefit from this information that I'm researching. So I would just share all of the information that I was learning so other people can realize that they got options. It don't matter where you're from. It don't matter what your income level is. You got options.
So describe what the Mamaneer Club is.
So the Mamaneer Club is a club for moms that's on a mission to make their dreams a reality. A lot of times when you have kids, you feel like your world is over. And no, that's when your world just began. Because like the true blessing to your children is a mom that's fulfilled, So I don't believe in stopping your dream for anything. You got to figure out how to balance both. And I don't like to say balance because when you think of balance, you're thinking like this, right? And you just never really steady. I like to harmonize, like see how it can all flow together. And I just think that as a mom, you don't have to stop your life. Men don't stop their life when they have kids. That's when they go harder. And I feel like we can do the same thing too. So that was that. It was just to encourage moms. You got this. Listen, you got this. You done birthed a whole human and you figured it out. That's the hardest job in the world. Nobody ain't tell me that. You have to figure that out. I'm sure you can figure this business out,
All right, We Talk Weekly's After Talk on WPPM Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weekly's After Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lawrence
and the beautiful
Lady Esther.
And you already know what's coming up next. Ready?
Yeah, we got the sizzle.
Holla at me early.
Yes, sir. It's your favorite show, We Talk Weekly. So catch us on all social media, major podcast platforms, and subscribe so you never miss an update. You want to stay connected, stay entertained, and keep the movement strong. Support our content by making a donation on Cash App at $ We Talk Weekly, or go to wetalkweekly.com and donate via PayPal. No donation is too great or too small. All right, so I guess third time is the charm. Congratulations are in order for Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, who welcomed a beautiful baby girl. So Rihanna made the announcement on September 13th in a sweet social media post debuting the first photos of her holding her new baby, who was dressed in a pink onesie with cute pink ruffle socks. That took me all the way back to Easter when I was little. And then the second picture showed a pair of tiny pink silk baby boxing gloves, which was so cute. And the caption read, Rocky Irish Mayor, September 13th, 2025. So the baby's birth comes 4 months after Rihanna's 2025 Met Gala red carpet baby bump reveal. And in an interview with Vogue for its May 2022 cover issue, Rihanna said, I always thought it would be marriage first, then a baby, but who the F says it has to be that way? I'm certainly not going to let it get in the way of me being a mom. Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. Maybe that might be a name for the next baby.
I know, Rocky.
Yeah.
That would be 4, right?
Or if they had twins, it could be Rocky.
They have 3, right?
Mm-hmm. They got 3 now. Yeah.
They're going to have 4, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See? But Rihanna and ASAP Rocky already shared share sons, 3-year-old Riot and 23-month-old RZA. So will this be the last one?
Nope. They're gonna have enough. They got enough money to have another one.
I think so.
They can have a tribe. That's how much money they got. They can have a tribe. They have another tribe. That's it.
Yeah. Why not?
Speaking for the woman's body, it is not about money. She might be like, yeah, I don't feel like this no more.
Right.
No matter how much money she got.
Yes.
That's funny.
That's crazy.
Been pregnant for what? How many years long straight?
No, but back in the day, women had a lot of kids. They had 10 and 12 kids.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah, you ain't had no choice.
I hear women today saying, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, my pop had like 9 kids, something crazy like that. 9 kids. That's 9 kids.
My grandfather wanted 10, and my grandmother said, "Not out of here, you won't."
Not here.
So she had 2 girls, and she adopted 2 boys.
That's good. Yeah, close enough. All right, so Kim Kardashian has seemingly responded to Ray J's claims that he is working with the federal government to drop a RICO case against her and her mother, Kris Jenner. So in a viral video circulating on X, Ray J can be seen doing a live stream stating, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim is about to be crazy. I'm talking about, I'm on the news every day. I'm going to say a lot of ish. Ray J also adds that if anybody knows Kim and is cool with her, they need to tell her now because this is worse than Diddy. So racketeering, influence, corrupt organization laws were enacted to eliminate the infiltration of organized crime into legitimate organizations. The Department of Justice takes several things into consideration when indicting defendants, including the decision to prosecute RICO charges to combine related offenses which would otherwise have to be prosecuted separately in different jurisdictions. So according to sources, Kim Kardashian does not believe Ray J's claims that he's working with the feds, and this is just another one of his stunts. Meanwhile, her PR team is not even addressing these allegations. So if they're not ramping up efforts to put out any statements, they're not trying to reach out to any lawyers or anything like that, then they pretty much think this is just a bunch of shenanigans. Yeah. But this isn't the first time Ray J has mentioned racketeering when referencing the Kardashians. During an interview on TMZ Presents United States versus Sean Combs inside the Diddy trial, Ray J said, if you told me that the Kardashians are being charged for racketeering, I might believe it. So, Ray J has had a long-standing beef with ex-girlfriend Kim Kardashian and her mother, Kris Jenner, since the 2007 release of Ray and Kim's sex tape, with Ray J claiming Kris Jenner orchestrated the sex tape and even threatened to sue them in the past. So,
interesting.
Yeah, you got a lot of people saying this is not going anywhere. And then you got some people saying, hey, we'll wait and see. It might be something.
But it's how Ray J is known for his little shenanigans. Whatever. So it is hard to believe what's going on over there, but we'll see. Definitely.
And it's sad because right as you just saying that, my thought process was, It's Ray J. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Before I can even
Exactly.
get to say anything. It's
Exactly.
just
Right. Mm-hmm.
sometimes now it's sad that every time I hear a story with him now, I'm like, I feel like he just is seeking attention.
Yes, exactly. Anything to remain relevant. All right, so on a sad note, a little somber, but political activist and godmother of Tupac Shakur, Assata Shakur, has died in Cuba, and many, celebrities are paying tribute to her.
Yeah.
Assata Shakur, whose real name was Joanne Deborah Chesimard, reportedly died from health conditions and advanced age on September 25th. But on May 2nd, 1973, Assata Shakur and 2 others were involved in a shootout with New Jersey state troopers during a traffic stop on the New Jersey Turnpike. Black Liberation Army member Zaid Malik Shakur and state trooper Warner Forrester were killed, and Assata was critically injured. So in 1977, Assata was found guilty and convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. In 79, Black Liberation Army members posed as visitors to the Clinton Correctional Facility where Assata was confined. They held 2 prison guards hostage and assisted in her escape from custody. So she was on the run for several years before appearing in Havana, Cuba, after being granted asylum by then President Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
And in 2013, the FBI placed Assata Shakur as the first woman on its most wanted terrorist list with a $2 million reward for her capture. But while in Cuba, Assata Shakur had many writings detailing her life, her political activism, and maintaining that both her arms were up in the air during that traffic stop and that she did not shoot anyone. And in her book titled Assata, an autobiography, she wrote, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." Assata was 78.
Fantastic. Let's give her a moment of silence real quick, Sean. Respect her legacy. All right, then give Assata a round of applause, man. No doubt, she did such an amazing work, and I think that I don't think she got her flowers enough. But I'm glad that you did a story on her to give her flowers. She's definitely getting her flowers lately. Her due diligence to birth such a phenomenal artist as well. So yeah, shout out to Assata Shakur.
Yeah. And I'm your girl Lauren Sizzle, and that was the Sizzle.
And that was the Sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy Charles Gregory, the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Lady Estelle.
And this is We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk. We're going to cut to a break, and when we come back, we got a dynamic interview. I don't want you to go anywhere, because when we're talking about hip-hop, we're talking about doing some amazing things in the community. We have a gentleman that's going to talk a little bit about that and some of the things that he's doing. So we're going to go to one of our dynamic journalists. We'll be right back, y'all, after this.
Hi, I'm Willow Jordan with Youth Civic News, and I'm here with my grandfather,
Willie Jordan.
And G-Pop, what brings you out tonight?
Well, I'm here to discuss the importance of the election that's coming up, and important of responsibility that we have to do is get out to vote.
What is your role?
I wear many hats, but one is a community activist, and that means to keep people aware and make them informed on the issues of the day, so they can come out and make a real good choice on voting for the right candidates.
What are some of the issues you see?
Housing, education, transportation. There's a lot of things. Anything that we do in our lives has to do with elections, politicians, elected officials making those decisions. The amount of time that you stay in school and the amount of days you stay in school is based on what some elected official came up with.
How important is it to vote?
It is very important. It's not just important, it's responsible. Voting is not a selfish activity. It's a selfless. You vote to help others. So as you help others, people help you, and it'll be a better world, a better city, a better country to live in.
Where do some of your beliefs come from?
Well, my belief is based on, I guess, I would first come from my home training. My parents told me the importance of civic responsibility, caring, loving, sharing, being involved, being responsible on your actions.
Is there any positive knowledge you would give to the people who don't vote?
I would tell them, if they can't come up with a reason why they should vote for themselves, come up with a reason why they should vote for someone else, for their parents, for their children, for more street lights, how they want a better community. Do it for someone else.
I'm Willow Jordan, reporting from Youth Civic News, and I'm here with my grandfather, Willie Jordan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's our future. We talk weeklies after the talk. Give a round of applause for that.
For the future.
For the future. One more again, real quick.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Selamat ulang tahun.
Whatever that was. All right, so who do we have today?
So we have the phenomenal Dr. Greg Watkins, aka Grouchy Greg. He is the founder of allhiphop.com with his partner Chuck Jigsaw Creekmer. Grouchy Greg built allhiphop.com into the internet voice of hip hop culture. Grouchy Greg attended the Art Institute of Philadelphia, studying audio engineering and marketing, and graduated from with an associate's degree in music business and advertising. Allhiphop.com officially launched in 1998, winning numerous awards, including the Black Enterprise's Rising Star Award and a coveted BET Award for Best Hip Hop Website, in addition to 12 BET Website Award nominations. So please give a round of applause, a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Mr. Dr. Greg Grouchy Greg Watkins. Welcome to the show. We are super excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. He said, I'll got all my teeth.
Happy birthday.
That is scary.
It's great.
Yeah. So how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I cannot complain. How do I sound?
Oh, you sound phenomenal. You sound phenomenal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No complaining. You know, just working hard. You know, this is our 28th year in business of running All Hip Hop. So, you know, I'm thankful that as I was listening to you read the news, you know, just how much hip hop culture is still driving everything in the mainstream. You know, I always joke, I'm glad that I didn't decide to do alljazz.com. No disrespect to jazz. I love jazz.
Yeah, I was going to already say, not that there's anything wrong with jazz. Like, yeah, because I love me some jazz, but yeah, I love me some hip hop too. Yeah. But you know, you just said, what was it? You said 30?
28.
Almost 28 30. Years, almost 30, wow. Just a little shy. But your journey started at the age of 6 with you being intrigued by that, right? Correct?
Yeah. You know, I don't want to date myself, but I was around when hip hop, you know, kind of landed in everybody's community. You know, right now it's ubiquitous. You know, it's the way we dress, it's the way we talk, it's everything now. It's part of, cultures worldwide. But there was a point in time where it was new, where it was landing in the neighborhood. And so, you could identify people at the time by the way they dressed or the kind of music they listened to. You knew what they were into, and I was a very, I was in maybe fourth grade when I caught on to hip hop, and I started off breakdancing, moved on to DJing. I rapped, I did a little bit of graffiti on paper, not on walls or anything. It just became my identity and my lifelong passion. And I was lucky enough to start a record label when I was in high school. Right, I'm from Delaware, so I'm from the area, and the record label didn't do what I thought it was going to do. And, I ended up registering allhiphop.com, thinking that it was going to be an internet type of record label. And it turned into something much bigger than that when I linked up with my partner, Chuck Jigsaw Creekmer. And we, launched All Hip Hop in 1998. And here we are 28 years later.
Yeah, exactly. And could you have predicted that hip hop would have the success that it's having now, especially when it started? When you look at hip hop when it first started, and how, our I want to say non-black counterparts was trying to put it in a certain light to where almost trying to demonize it, like where you see now is being respected with the 50 years of hip hop being celebrated. What are your thoughts on that? Like the contrast and how it started out and how it was portrayed in the media and to how it's celebrated now.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing transformation. I was around when they had the no rap workday, and hip hop was not played on television at all. And it's amazing to see the journey that hip hop as a culture has taken around the world, and not just from the previous verticals I mentioned, but now it's also used as a form of teaching. So teachers are making curriculums out of hip hop culture. They're using it to teach math. They're using it to teach science. So in addition to, it providing a living for many, for hundreds of thousands, millions of people, when you factor in record labels, record label owners, artists, graphic designers, the entire hip hop industry provides a living for people like myself, but it's also, now being used to teach, which, if you know hip hop culture, there's 5 elements: breakdancing, turntablism, rapping, dancing, and the 5th element, which is knowledge, being educated. So it's great to see that all 5 of the elements of hip hop culture touched and made a mark on the world. Here is an art form that was started by young, African American, young Black kids in the ghetto, and here it's gone all over the world. It's a very unique form of American expression, born out of African Americans' experiences here in the United States.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I'm curious. There's still conversation about who actually started hip hop, right? Who actually started hip hop? If someone was to ask you that question, how would you lay out that framework?
Oh, well, I mean, it's pretty simple to me because I'm working with a professor at the University of Delaware. We're actually writing a book about this that traces the lineage of hip hop and what made hip hop what it is. And it's very clear, this was an art form that was started. You can trace the roots of this hip hop culture back to slavery and the tales that slaves and former slaves would tell. They're called bad man tales. They're called trickster tales. And if you trace this type of storytelling up through the late 19th century and into the 20th century, it's very clear that it's an African American art form. It's not to say that other people didn't contribute to it, or that other people weren't there when it was quote unquote being born. Black and brown people obviously are, you know, one and the same in many regards when you trace the transatlantic slave trade into the different islands that are here, you know, Brazil, where slavery didn't end until the 1920s. I mean, I don't want to go too far into it.
Yeah,
There's
no,
all of that makes it up, but still at the end of the day, the root form of it and the way it's expressed, the words that were used, the dialogue, it goes all the way back to bondage.
You know, the funny thing about you saying that is I recently saw a video of a tribe in Africa that was doing something that was really close to what we would consider breakdancing. And it blew my mind that this is where, and this was early, I mean, they traced this, I mean, you know, before we even thought what hip hop could be, right? And so you're talking about watching early videos from Africa of them literally breakdancing, you know, and that actually blew my mind. So when we think of ownership of this art, this craft of hip hop, there's conversation of, do we actually even own it anymore, right? I mean, we have, when the music that come out of it, we own the record labels and all of that. And then, you know, our Asian counterparts, they're breakdancing just as, you know, they totally embrace the hip hop culture over there, right? Where do we fall in line with the ownership of the art and craft?
So let me break this down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to ownership, if you trace the music business back to its origins start with the printing press, which was invented in Germany in 1485 or something like that. I don't know the exact year. But at the same time, in that same century, the 15th century, and towards the end of that, you had the church, the Catholic Church, issuing what's known as the Papal Bulls. The Papal Bulls gave Christians the right to go out and enslave people, specifically people in Africa, who weren't Christians. So as the printing press is being developed and the first music starts getting printed as sheet music, which is why it's called publishing,
right?
You have a whole group of people who are being put into bondage as an industry is growing. Now, as you follow this up into, let's say, the 16th century, the 17th century, into the late 1600s, where you have the American colonies being established and slavery being established with it, there were laws that said slaves could not own, slave owners owned anything that slaves produced. So when copyright laws were created in the 1600s to combat piracy, we were already in bondage and we could not participate in that industry. So as the industry grows all the way up into the 1800s and into the early 1900s, you've already been systematically excluded from it. So when you talk about things like ownership and you look at the time frame, you know, we're talking about maybe 4 generations, 3 or 4 generations of people. When you trace it and you look at it like that, in this manner, in this infrastructure manner, this is why most of the time young African-American artists, young Black artists, and even the brown artists, you know, you get locked out of it because you've been historically locked out of it on that level from the founding of it. And so the ownership question is very tricky. You know, you can't have a victim mentality. So, you know, we have a lot of great examples of people who have taken ownership of their careers, you know, but at the same time, when you look at the current music industry, the structure of it, the supply chain, it's all being consolidated. Even in this digital world, it's all being consolidated, and it's now concentrated into the hands of, you know, there's only 3 major labels left. And just this week, the only African American CEO of any of the labels, Sylvia Rhone, stepped down. So not only is there no African American women, there's no women that are CEOs in the major label ecosystem. So ownership is a tricky thing, you know. But I will say that, you know, even in my journey, it was very important for me to be an entrepreneur and to own something, you know, which is why we still own 100% of all hip hop. You know, we haven't sold any of it. We've never taken any outside investment. You know, it's still in the hands of myself and my partner. It's a much more difficult path, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know, we still own it. So ownership is important.
Yeah, fantastic.
When it comes to a different type of ownership, which I guess we could call "quote unquote" bragging rights, when you have certain people saying that we shouldn't include our non-Black counterparts in when it comes in the conversation of top 10 greatest or even top 50 greatest or any greatest for that matter, hip hop artists. What are your thoughts on that? And that's just me, you know, without trying to name any names because this conversation has been had before. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Should we be including
Absolutely. I mean, this is a gift that we created that the world has embraced. You know, I think the more important thing is just to make sure that the world over the course of time, which is the purpose of what we're going to be talking about soon, you know, should not forget about the origins, the origin story. It's okay for everybody to embrace it. You know, it's the same thing with jazz. Everybody has embraced jazz, another unique form of African American expression, just like doo-wop music, you know, is another unique form of African American expression that was created here in the United States based on the cultural experiences that we were having. You know, we just should not forget that. But the world has embraced hip hop. I mean, there are amazing rappers from every race, creed, color, all around the world in every nation, you know, so you just can't exclude people based on their race, you know.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about, you know, your skills, because you had this group that you were a part of, the Outfit, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a group that was on my label. My label was called Oblique Recordings, which is why I switched it out for all hip hop, because people can't remember it, much less spell it. And we were putting out records. I was putting the skills that I learned at school in Philadelphia to work, and we were releasing 12 inches. We released a CD in 1998, which is a collector's item now. You know, it's selling for $200-300 on eBay. And yeah, I was producing music. I was a studio rat. You know, I thought I was going to be, you know, the next big hip hop producer in the game. And as I was distributing our records locally and nationally, I had a small office down here in Delaware, and I wasn't so business savvy. I mean, looking back, I was only maybe 3 years out of high school, right? And the records that we were releasing were selling, but the distributors weren't paying me fast enough. My bills were coming in faster, more bill at the end of the month than money. And I didn't know anything about billing and receivables at the time. I didn't really understand the concept of net 60, net 90, much less trying to negotiate some sort of upfront payment. So the records would go to the distributor. The distributor would put them in the store. The store would sell them. The store would pay the distributor what they owed. The distributor was supposed to pay me. And it just didn't work out. So I turned to selling the music on the internet around 1995. And from 95 to 97, I realized, oh man, listen, I know people sometimes think when you're sitting on the computer all day that you're into some weird stuff or you're a nerd. I mean, I don't know what people were thinking, but I was selling records all around the world. And I was completely sold. I was like, yeah, this internet thing is it. This is going to be the wave of the future. And it was.
Yeah. And you were able to launch in 1998.
That's right.
And your hard work paid off, you know, with all of the nominations and the awards that you've been winning. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's a team effort. Let's just start there. You know, always got to give props to the team. I mean, we've been blessed since we launched All Hip Hop to have had many amazing journalists come through our doors. They've gone on to win Pulitzer Prizes. They've gone on to write for Time, Billboard. You know, they're editor-in-chiefs at some of our competition now. You know, so it's amazing to see the impact that we've had, not just from a hip hop, the mark that we've made on hip hop and artists and their careers and telling their stories, but also from the journalism side and the writers who have come through our doors. So, I mean, it's just been incredible. It's been an incredible ride. You know, I always felt that because of hip hop culture, I was going to be able to do something great with it. I was on my path to being an entrepreneur. You know, I was going to make my music succeed no matter what it took. You know, I'm very resolute in that. I mean, you know, I've been doing it for so long, since childhood. I mean, I was in my first recording studio professionally when I was in 8th grade. You know what I mean? Paying my own money and recording and learning the process. So this has been my life's passion. But All Hip Hop, you know, really, I mean, it just amplified everything. I you know, to be so well respected around the world because of the brand and what we've done with it, it's mind blowing. You know, I don't think my other career would have turned out this way. You know?
Yeah. And with, you know, a lot of changes and things going on when it comes to AI and how that's like interrupting the industry, you know, with film and some things going on with R&B and different AI artists being created. How do you think that will have an impact on the hip hop industry?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I'm a member of the Recording Academy, which is the governing body for the Grammys. And just this past Thursday was Music Advocacy Day. And there were 3 pillars that we went to our local Congress and our local senators to talk to them about. Number 1 was AI. Number 2 is something called the No Fakes Act, which stands for Nurture Originals, Foster Art, Keep Entertainment Safe, No Fakes. And that's an act that Congress is, there's bipartisan support in Congress to prevent deep fakes. So right now, if somebody changes Jay-Z's voice, because he's given over his right of publicity in some regards by being a celebrity, people can use his voice and make different versions of Jay-Z. Maybe they can't exploit it commercially, but I guess, you know, there is a certain level when you become a public figure of surrendering your image and likeness over to the public, which is why the paparazzi can come up and take pictures of people and then sell those images, right? If you are a private citizen and somebody creates a deep fake of you, let's just say cussing out your boss and you get fired, there's no real protection for you or your voice in those scenarios. And so we saw that play out in the last election where there were robocalls going out faking Joe Biden's voice and other people's voices to try to sway the election one way or another. And so this act is trying to give the general population some protection against deepfakes. From the AI standpoint, we were advocating for better protection of artists' intellectual property, which is now being sucked up by Suno and Udio, which are the two biggest AI music generating platforms. Now, don't get me wrong, I use them. I use Suno for a variety of experiments and different use cases, right? But it should not be allowed to suck up somebody's whole catalog, train on it, and then generate money from it. I mean, these are companies that have billion-dollar valuations. Right. We're going through this battle right now with OpenAI, Perplexity, these companies that come in and scrape our content. They say they're going to give you a citation. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but it's worthless because the citations don't drive any traffic back to us. Google just recently introduced zero-click searches. So you get all your answers there. You don't have to leave Google, where they used to synthesize our information and then send people back to us. And so now you're seeing lawsuits, Billboard, Penske, which owns Billboard, Vibe, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, a bunch of big magazines. They just filed a lawsuit against Google. I mean, Google has, 20 different lawsuits going. But Google is suing Suno for training on you know what I mean?
What's the irony?
It's the irony of it all. You know what I mean? And so if you are a smaller operator, you don't have the money to sue OpenAI. They're worth $50 billion. You know what I mean? They've got deep pockets. So what recourse do you have? So, I work with about 150 Black-owned publishers with an organization called BOMISI, Black-Owned Media Equity Sustainability Institute. And, we work together to work as a collective to try to fight for our rights when it comes to this stuff. So.
You bring up an interesting conversation as it relates to AI, right? And all of the conversations that's happening. I think AI is innovating so fast that some of the policies and laws that they're trying to create with them, is already dated, right? Yeah. So I think what they're trying to do is trying to broadly find some type of policy or law that will cover all of the potential issues that it may face, right? Because now there's a huge conversation based around that I've been hearing a lot, based around the training model of it, right? Because if you're training, and it's, say for example, yourself, and you're going using it, do you then relinquish, right, some of that IP if you're using a platform that's made to train on the information that you're giving it, right? And I see a lot of the debates. I see them, and all of it is relevant. It's just hard to put in words something that's innovating so fast that may be different when you started the conversation initially, and so I think it's definitely something to continue to have conversation about, and then we'll definitely man. So that said, right, you're in the space of the ecosystem of educating, and you're going into these schools and colleges, and you're talking about a lot of this, right? Is part of the conversation based around AI, is that in like your lectures? Is that in a lot of your training model?
Absolutely. We talk about it because the students are using it, and sometimes the faculty are the ones who are behind on using it. What I mean? So the students are using it. The faculty may be from an older generation, and they either don't understand it or they hear these types of conversations, and it can be quite frankly, it can be overwhelming for anybody.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's here, it has to be used, and already there are studies out there that show how fast our communities are falling behind in adopting it. And what ends up happening is you've got whole job sectors that are going to be replaced by automation and AI that may have been jobs that we were going after, you know? And so I just think it's important that the younger people do study it, do learn it, do understand what vibe coding is and all of these new types of ways of using AI to create and run a business. You know, there is definitely positive uses for it as a business owner. But then there are, like you were saying, there's this whole evolving industry that's moving faster than the legislation. Not to turn the subject to drugs, but it's very similar to synthetic drugs. Every time they create a law banning a certain combination of compounds for a synthetic drug, the drug guys are out there making a new combination.
That's right.
That's not covered by the law that they can get away with selling.
100%. That's a great parallel. This is my last question on it, and I didn't mean to jump into this, but it was a natural progression with the conversation that you were having. There's Timberland have been part of this conversation, and now when we talk about to in context, because I want to put this in context, right? The idea of fair, right? What is fair? What is on a level that we understand what that is emotionally, right? When we have people that are now, or platforms that are now creating these AI avatars that are artists now, that potentially are receiving monetary, support because they're producing and creating, hip hop or even just music per se. What is your take on that? Do you feel like that's still a creative concept, or do you feel like it's still issues there because now you have models that are trained off of everyone else's music that's making funds that now these artists are no longer getting, potentially placing them out of the market at this point? If that makes sense. Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Okay.
So let's put this into two buckets. Okay. Bucket one, when we talk about fair, is fair use, right? Fair use is a law. So the fair use law says, if I am using a piece of copyrighted work and I transform it into what's called a transformative work, where the original work is so different than the transformation into the new work, then this is a brand new work, and that's considered fair use of an original piece of content. And so what's happening is the AI companies are using the fair use doctrine on any number of levels, whether it's music, video, writing, anything. And they're saying, we're sucking up all of this information, all this intellectual property, and it's being transformed into something new. So this falls under fair use, right? Now, on the AI avatar side of things, with what Timberland did, when we talk about fair, okay, now that's a different bucket where it's more of a moral conversation that you can have an opinion on. I think it's creative to create an AI artist and make something that's different and new, and it's smart, and it doesn't talk back to you, and you keep 100% of the money, and you manage it totally different. I get it. But is it fair when, if that artist, say, gets 1 million plays on Spotify, the way the money is counted up is the money goes pretty much into a big bucket, and you may have, 5,000 artists who only got 1,000 plays on Spotify, their money isn't going to come out of that bucket. They're not going to get anything because there's minimal thresholds. The AI artist is going to get money. So, you know, how do you get to a point where, first of all, Deezer, Spotify, all of these DSPs, digital streaming platforms, there's in any one of those, probably about 25% of the music is AI generated.
Yeah.
They try to fight it, they take it down, it comes back up. Spotify was caught making fake artists and putting them on playlists and pushing those playlists to people because it's a way to generate revenue. So, you know, it becomes this whole question of legal framework and then what is your moral stance on it? You know, you may want music that's only created by humans. There may be people who don't care. I can tell you one thing though, after sitting in with the Congress people, what I told them, I said, if you don't change these laws so that artists, real artists, can have a livable wage from their music career, all of the music you consume is going to be AI generated because eventually artists are going to say, this isn't worth it. What am I doing this for? We're still going to consume music. And then it rolls up into these bigger questions of now we're feeding into maybe 5 companies who have a monopoly over music and streaming and the record labels. Because, you know, the record labels own pieces of all of these companies. So
yeah. No, I'm gonna bring you back on the show because I think this conversation alone can have its own lane, right? And so I appreciate you digging in or having this discourse with me as it relates to that, because I think this is a new thesis that needs to happen, right? So I'm gonna put a peg right there because I want to get into some of the things you're doing and the event. Right, I would be remiss if I didn't do that because that's why we have you on here, brother. But the you know, the academic conversation I love to have, especially with, you know, fellow, you know, brothers that's really in those spaces that can have that conversation. So kudos to you, my friend. So let's talk. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. I want to talk about your event that's coming up. And I thought that it was amazing. Hip Hop Cultural Summit. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is our 3rd year. So I'm on the State Council for the Arts here in Delaware. I say this humbly, but I was appointed by the governor. And the mission is we look at where all of the money for nonprofit organizations, where it's going, how it's going there, who gets what, you know. I work with a board of people who, you know, have input into that. And so one of the things that I wanted to accomplish immediately going in was more hip hop related events that center around educating the general, you know, the community about what hip hop actually is. It's not just what you hear on the radio. It's way more than that. It's not just what you see on social media. It's obviously way more than that, as we've been discussing. And so I approached the Delaware Art Museum, which is the biggest art museum in the state of Delaware. And a friend of mine works there running cultural programming, Iz Valletto. And I said, you know, what do you think about having an event here centered around hip hop, where we treat hip hop like what it is? It's an art form. It needs to be in the museum. Right. And he was with it. The museum director, Molly Giordano, she was with it. And year 1, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of hip hop culture. And we had Grandmaster Caz, founding father, you know, Cold Crush Brothers. We had MC Sha Rock. We had Joe Conzo. We had Grand Wizard Theodore. And year 2, the theme was hip hop and activism, hip hop and social justice. So we had Flavor Flav from Public Enemy was the keynote. We had Hakeem Green, who does 24 Hours of Peace in Newark, New Jersey, member of Hip Hop Channel Live. We had Do It All Kelly, who's a councilman in Jersey City. We had Pam Africa as a panelist, and Mumia Abu Jamal called in. And we discussed hip hop as a change for an agent for social change. Okay. So this year, the theme is hip hop and race, illustrating race through hip hop culture. And so we take over the entire museum. The museum is going to have artwork all around the walls centered around race. And then all throughout the day, there are panel discussions. Panel discussion one, I'm doing about a beach here in Delaware, a Black-owned segregated beach where Patti LaBelle, Stevie Wonder, Count Basie, Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke, they all performed here. It's gone now. But we're doing a history on that. The second panel is hip hop and race, where we have a multicultural group of panelists. Roxy Romeo from Power 99 is moderating it. Steve Lobel, white Jewish manager who's worked with everybody from Bone Thugs and Harmony to Bad Baby. I mean, just he's Run DMC. He's a legend. We've got DMC as the keynote. My partner in all hip hop, Chuck Jigsaw Creekmer, is going to be doing a Q&A with DMC, and Run DMC, as you know, first hip hop group to cross over, first hip hop group to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. Right. You know, really groundbreaking group when it comes to putting hip hop on the world stage. So the whole day is filled with hip hop culture. We've got an all-female breakdancing troupe that's going to be doing exhibits throughout the day, right in the middle of the museum. We've got food trucks outside, food in the museum. You know, it's a whole day of hip hop culture. It's a really dope event.
Fantastic, man. I think that's one of the events that I believe that we were talking. I believe We Talk Weekly may pop up there and get some footage and talk to you guys. If you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, this is a gentleman with whom we have a tremendous amount of respect for. Very educated brother from All Hip Hop. Now that in itself, allhiphop.com has been part of. I will say that you guys are the culture, are part of the culture. You guys have been at this for a long time. And so I just want to appreciate you for coming on the show. And one thing that we say on the show is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show. So you're always welcome to come back. But because of your platform, let's talk a little bit later and we'll definitely connect. Let's see what kind of partnerships or things that we can do to, support each other. Because I like what you guys are doing and we can cement that in some type of way, So kudos to you, my friend. Absolutely, absolutely. So why don't you let everyone know how they can get in contact with you? Let's talk about the event one more time because there's something that I don't want anyone to miss. But how can they get in contact with you and all that good old stuff?
So if you're listening and not watching, which could very well be happening,
it will be.
allhiphop.com/summit, SUMMIT. You can go there and register. It's only $10, and it's a full day of hip hop culture. DMC is going to be there signing autographs, signing books, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good opportunity to, get in touch with a real hip hop legend. And the event is October 18th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Delaware Art Museum. That's in Wilmington, Delaware. And again, you can go to allhiphop.com/summit, SUMMIT. On social media, I'm at Grouchy Greg, GROUCHY, GREG. On Facebook, you can find me. It's just Grouchy, GROUCHY.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I'm already biased because my name is Greg too, my friend.
Lots of Gregs.
Shout out to that. So I want to wish you much success, and my brother, and anything that you believe that We Talk Weekly can do for you or with you, in addition to you, let us know and we'll definitely make sure we make that happen, man. Kudos to you, my friend. Is there something else you would like to say to the people who are listening, watching, and engaging before you leave?
I would like to just say thank you to We Talk Weekly for having me. It's been a great conversation. I'm very appreciative of you lending your platform for me to come on and talk. And anytime you want to work together or do anything, is always with and never for. I'm always with it, brother. So thank you very much. I just want to say thank you and happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
No doubt. All right, my brother, we're gonna reach back out because we have our end of the year wrap up. I think you would be good to come on board and just spend some time with us. Come over to Philly. You're not too far. Just come to Philly.
All the time.
All right, no doubt. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I don't want you guys to go anywhere. When we come back, we have another dynamic interview, someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and we're gonna talk a little bit definitely about civics. So we'll be back, y'all, after this. I appreciate you, my brother. You take care of yourself. Yeah.
News, reporter Ella presents a new recipe that can help feed the community. Over to you, Ella.
Thanks, Willow. Now that fall is upon us, what's not a better way to start the fall season than an easy and simple recipe? Pumpkin bread is the most delicious and easiest food you can make for yourself, family and friends, and your community. Take a look. Today we're going to make pumpkin bread, so make sure you screenshot this recipe and let's get started. First, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. In one of your bowls, mix your flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and pumpkin pie spice. With your fork, mix. Now with your second bowl, mix your sugar, oil, and applesauce with a whisk. Once everything is mixed together, add your pumpkin and mix again. When everything is mixed evenly, combine both mixtures together. Make sure you scrape everything out so nothing is wasted. Now mix evenly until there's no lumps. After that, you want to set that aside and grab your bread pan. Lather some butter all around and add a little flour and spread it around until it looks like this. Now you want to pour the bread batter into the bread pan. Make sure you scrape everything out so nothing is wasted. Cut a line in the middle and it's ready for the oven. Make sure you wear oven mitts and let the bread bake for 60 minutes. Once the 60 minutes is up, take it out of the oven and let it sit for a few minutes. When the bread pan is safe to touch, use a straight edge to separate the pan and bread. This step is optional, but if you would like, slice the bread into thick slices and it should look something like this. You are all done. Dig in and enjoy your pumpkin bread. This pumpkin bread is the perfect way to feed your family, friends, and your community. Willow, what did you think about this recipe?
I think that this recipe is perfect for the rising fall weather. Substituting the egg with the applesauce is a great option for others with an egg allergy.
Thanks, Willow. I'm Ella Guanzon reporting for Youth Civic News. Back to you, Willow.
We Talk Weeklies after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and a beautiful Lady Esther. And we are here today with another dynamic interview, which I'm super excited about because we're going to talk a little bit about some civics. We're going to talk about the importance of community. We're going to do the work that we have always been doing for the community that sometimes you don't have the opportunity to hear the voices and understand how people really are, humanizing people instead of seeing all of the noise that's out there. And so what we like to do is just bring them here so you get an opportunity to hear who they are. And without further ado, Sizzle, who do we have today?
So we have the awesome Honorable Judge Patrick Dugan. He is a former president judge of Philadelphia Municipal Court, a decorated Army veteran and a lifelong public servant. Raised in Frankfurt by a devoted single mother, he went on to earn his Juris Doctor from Rutgers Camden before serving over 23 years in the Army and Army Reserve, where he earned the Bronze Star and more than 24 awards. Jeez. Appointed to the bench in 2007, Judge Dugan served 17 years creating nationally recognized diversion programs, including Philadelphia's renowned Veterans Court, which effectively reduced recidivism to under 10%. As president judge, he led the court through the pandemic, authorizing the groundbreaking eviction diversion program, which saved more than 46,000 families from displacement.
Wow.
In 2024, he stepped down to run for District Attorney. Now he's here with us to discuss his life journey and campaign. So let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to the Honorable Judge Patrick Dugan.
How are you? How are you, my friend? How are you?
Well, thank you for that introduction and the applause.
Oh,
thanks
man.
for having me.
Absolutely. One, I'd like to welcome you to the show. And, one thing we like to talk about or like to discuss is, just some of the things that's happening in the communities, right? Things that are affecting the community, try to disrupt those news deserts, so to speak, the information that people are not getting and sometimes tend to just, turn on social media and this is what it is and they believe it. And so we like to say, this is the person, this is who this person really is. This is who you potentially will be voting for. This is the person who will be in a leadership position that you may need to talk to or come in front of one day. So I'd like to welcome you here for being a part of We Talk Weekly. So before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about one, who are you when you think of you as honorable judge, right? Before the judge, right? Who are you?
Well, my mother said my first name is not Judge. So my first name is Pat. When I was a kid, I was called Patty Dugan, born in Fairmount. We moved to Frankfort when I was about 10 years old. My mom thought she was moving on up. She was a single mother. We moved to 1600 block of Margaret, right near the Margaret Orthodox L stop. So I'm a kid that played on the L. I'm a kid that played wire ball, stick ball, halfies, played basketball at the playgrounds, was right there at Whitehall Projects. So I'm a city kid. I've lived here my whole life. The only time I didn't live here in Philadelphia was when I was serving our nation, which were at least I had 5 years overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, Panama, South Korea. So I'm Philly born and bred. I mean, my campaign literature since I've been running the very first time always says that Dallas sucks. I'm sorry to those Cowboy fans, but I'm a diehard.
I gotta give you a round of applause for that. I gotta give you a round of applause.
Yeah, go Birds.
That's who I am. Sports fan, but I just love our neighborhoods and I want to do the best thing that I can. My mom, God rest her soul, is my hero. When we talk about who's our heroes, Mike Schmidt, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson. Well, I love those guys. But my mother was my hero. So when I was a kid in Fairmount, late 60s, there's tensions in our street. Yeah. We had the demonstrations up at Girard College. We had riots on Broad Street, all that stuff going on. So we're in Fairmount. I'm on sitting on the steps at 2211 Parish Street, which is where my grandmother lived. And it was one of those times where mom needed to be at her mother's house. So that's where we were. And there's a kid riding a bike, a young black kid riding his bike as fast as he could in front of our home down the street. And he's being chased by the old heads in the neighborhood. And they catch him. And we had those riot boards that were outside, those things that the police put up when there's a parade and all, those big old yellow wooden ones. Yeah. And they picked up one of those boards and they started beating them. I'm sitting on the steps with my mom. My mom jumped up, ran down, got in between that board and those old heads and protected that little kid. Brought that kid to our steps, pushed those old heads away, brought him over with his bike and waited till the police arrived. So my mother didn't have to tell me what to do. She showed me what to do. And that's what I've been as a man, as a paratrooper, as a judge. And pretty much it's the reason why I'm running for DA, getting off the damn step to do this.
I want to, wow. Yeah, I know, right? I'm going to send the pause real quick and shout out to mom right there, because
my mom, Jackie, was awesome.
No doubt. Shout out to mom,
They Philly moms.
Yeah.
They Philly moms.
Yes.
So moving, so with that as an understanding, right? And still pulling back the layers of yourself, who Patrick Dugan is, what influenced you that from the beginning to say, what, this justice, this criminal justice space, or this law-based space is something that I believe I want to be a part of. What influenced that?
So it's being a city kid. It's having been in the Army, seeing that, you know, Pat Dugan from the neighborhood in Philadelphia. I'm the same as that kid who was living in rural Alabama, or the guy who was riding horses in Texas, or the kid from Oakland, because we lived together no matter what our race, what our religion was, what kind of economic background. We're all the same. Yeah. We all want the same thing. We just want to be safe. We want to be with our families. We want to be able to provide for them. We want to be able to laugh and dance. And I saw that particularly in the Army. And I brought that back with me as a man, that we're all the same. We all want the same thing. So we got to cut through our differences. Yeah. And as a judge, that's why I love the diversion programs that I was heavily involved in, because we were able to peel the onion away. Yeah. What's making this guy go in and steal stuff from a store? What's making this guy being violent with his family members? Why is this person driving his vehicle under the influence? So you get into the root causes, and then we try to help fix those root causes, help that individual figure it out as well, provide them with the tools. And that's what I love to do. We did these wraparound services, and we helped so many people. We involved their families, and we turned around and saved so many lives. And as a judge, having that power up there, it just felt so good to be able to help people that I just, again, it was such a passion of mine. But I was also one of those guys, when somebody came in and they were being violent, that we had to make sure they were being held accountable. You're going to go around shooting people, carjacking, then yes, you have to be held accountable. Yeah. But people who we could help, and people who deserve that second chance, people who we could seriously help, let's do it. So one of the things I did, I went into Graterford Prison. I would take my people in front of me in my courtroom in Veterans Court. We'd get in a van and go to Graterford. It's called SCI Phoenix now. And we'd go behind bars and talk to the lifers. Those men, Comer Glass is up there. He's an 80-year-old man. He's blind. He's in there for murder. But what a great mentor he is to other people in the criminal justice system, because he's trying to teach them, don't be my cellmate. And he took peer mentoring classes. He's got a bunch of guys in jail, and he would speak to the guys in front of me so that they would not be his cellmates. And that's the kind of things that I love to do, to help people turn their life around. So we're not destroying them, plus all their family members, because you put one man in jail, there's 10, 15 other people affected by that person being in jail. So we got to stop that. But we got to put those people who are running around shooting our kids as well. We got to put them in jail.
I agree with that, and that's fair. I want to talk about this because this stood out for me. It say in 2019, Judge Dugan was elected president judge by his peers. During this time, he guided the court through the challenges of the 2020 pandemic, authorized the eviction diversion program. You talked a lot about diversion, but this program helped over 46,000 families remain in their homes and secure nearly $300 million in rent. We have to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's something I'm super proud of. Yeah. And I had a great team in Philadelphia Municipal Court. My fellow judge, who was my supervising judge, I was the president judge, and he more or less worked for me. But him and I, with our staff, as well as the landlord-tenant lawyers, all the folks out there who were trying to assist people as they were, people were looking to evict them, city council, we got together and came up with the eviction diversion program. So yes, 46,000 families in the city of Philadelphia were not evicted during COVID. And the part that I insisted on, a lot of people who weren't getting paid the rent are people with one house, one investment house. So if they're not getting the mortgage, if they're not getting the rent to pay their mortgage, they're going to lose that house. They're going to lose that investment. So I said, we got to have a program where they're getting paid. So $300 million, over $300 million went to the landlords. So we pleased both sides. I mean, it was COVID. People couldn't pay the rent, but we can't go ahead and stiff the landlords. So we got together and did it for both. And that program is still going on. Evictions now in the city of Philadelphia. There's a great process that people go through that people try to step up and help both sides. And I'm super proud of that. I'm super proud of Judge Matt Wolf, who's up on the Commonwealth Court now, and all the staff members who assisted in that. I'm very proud of that.
Now, you talk about the diversion programs and the things that you've been involved with, which I think is an excellent transition to talk about, to start talking about some of the things you're doing now. But when one of the things that we pride ourselves in is the discussion about civics and how important that is to the community. When someone asks you what civics is to you, or what does it mean to you, right? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? And let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
First thing that comes to my mind is being involved in your own community, right there where you live. And I'm talking about the simplest thing is, so there's trash on the street near your home, trash on the street near your school. You know what? Pick it up. You didn't put it there, but we all can bend down and pick up that trash and put it in the can. We can also all come out and vote. Elections have consequences. We see that every day. 16.61% of the people in the city of Philadelphia that are eligible to vote voted in the springtime. To me, that math is 83.39%. 83.39% of the eligible voters stayed home in the springtime. Your civic duty is to vote. Not every human being that's walked this earth has had the ability to vote.
That's right.
It's a privilege. We need to take advantage of it. We all have opinions. We all complain.
Sure.
We all say this, that.
We all got them.
Folks, get out and vote. Get out and vote. I think that's super important. But get involved, mingle, talk to your neighbors, cross the street and talk to that guy who you don't politically go along with. Just go talk to him, because his views, there might be way different than yours, but we agree on about 80% of the stuff out there. So talk to your neighbors. I think that's important.
Yeah. And what do we say to, like, because sometimes we hear from the community, like we hear people that say, like, well, my vote doesn't count. Like, so why am I even going out to even vote? Because they're going to elect who they want to elect anyway.
No, they're not. That apathy has to stop. If you look at the numbers, you come out to vote. And each one of us have 10, 12 people in our sphere that we could pull out to vote. I know that I could call up my kids, and I'm proud. I got 6 grown kids. They all have spouses, significant others. Wait, you're going to give me a standing ovation for this. I got 13 grandkids. Wow. And my family, I'll be honest with you, when we take a photo, it looks like the United Nations. So we're just, our Thanksgivings are great. But I know I could call them all up and say, listen, tomorrow you need to go vote. And they will. We all have those folks in our life. Your coworker, drag them out to vote. We have to get involved, because if 16% of us continue to vote, I think that's one of the problems that we have in politics. This two-party system, we get extremes on both sides. And again, the vast majority of those who are kind of closer to the middle, you know, we stay home, we shrug, and we wind up with extremities in politics, and the two sides will not compromise anymore. And that's just a shame that that's happening in our society. So I'm urging people, get involved. Let's take it back, all of us. And it can be this side, that side, but we all need to come together, unify. My political party right now, I'm a Philadelphian. That's truly who I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So you ran in the primaries, and you didn't win in the primary.
I got spanked.
Well, a lot of people didn't come out to vote.
Correct.
And that was, the issue that we were just discussing. So what, I guess, is there a plan that you've already been working on to do differently from a campaign plan, going out and maybe knocking on more doors, or has anything changed?
You've been talking to somebody, because knocking on doors is our number one thing that we're doing. We're doing more digital, more social media, and canvassing. We're going to be banging on doors. We got a little army starting out there. We're going to go hit every door that we possibly can. In the general election, there are now 250,000 more people eligible to vote than were in the primary, because in Pennsylvania, it's a closed primary.
Yeah.
So all the independents were not able to vote.
That's right.
So with 250,000 more people eligible to vote, there's a whole new pot of voters that are out there. So I'm certainly going to try to appeal to them and urge those who stayed home to come out. Again, we all have an opinion on what's going on in the direction of the city. And, come on out and let your voice be heard. And if it's not with me, I'm not even going to tell you to stay home.
Yeah.
I want people to vote. I really do. And I saw it firsthand. I was in Iraq and in 2004, and I was part of the program there to help local Iraqis vote. They walk through bombs. They stood in line where death threats were there to vote, be the first group of people who could vote in their country. And what they do is they'd come in after they voted, they'd put their finger in a purple inkwell and come out. So they'd come out showing their purple ink on their finger. And people died to vote. And it was just an amazing process. It was over 80% of the people came out to vote there for the first time. And it just felt so good to be part of giving that voice. And when I was quoted in the paper by Jill Porter, one of the Philadelphia Daily News reporters years ago, saying, I want to come home to Philly. I want to have a cheesesteak, watch the Eagles, and get people out to vote. And it truly is something I want to do. And it's out there. I said it, and it's in the paper, so it must be true.
All right. I want to, because you brought that up, I might get you in trouble with this question, but cheesesteak, who has the best cheesesteak in Philly?
I got to tell you, there was a place that shut down years ago. It was Beato's at 25th and Paris. That's really old school, but that's been shut down for years. I like Jim's at 4th and South.
Okay, yeah.
I like Jim's at 4th and South.
Yeah, that's safe. Okay.
But there's 10 other places that if I'm driving by, I'm stopping. Whether it's the one on Snyder, John's, whether it's Max's, whether it's D'Alessandro's.
You're in the right
I'm telling you, I was at Larry's out at St. Joe's College the other day, the Belly Busters. Man, that put another inch on my waist.
Yeah.
Whiz without for me. It's a mess, but that's what I eat.
Right. I love that.
No doubt. That's funny. Well, at the very least, you share like interests with somebody. But go ahead.
And we've had several candidates that have come on the show, and they've run in different capacities. And one of the things that they often talk about is when it comes to voting down ballot. So you're running as an independent. What does voting down ballot look like for maybe somebody that might be a Democrat, but they want to vote for you? And like, how does that look like if I guess you're running as a Republican candidate, but it's the other, and I don't know how that works.
So the Republicans did a write-in campaign in the springtime for me.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to win the primary. And I became the Republican nominee. There were more than 7,000 write-in votes that were cast for me. And it was successful in Pittsburgh, the last cycle. The same thing happened in the district attorney's office. The losing candidate in the Democratic primary, they wrote him in on the Republican side, and he won in the general. So that's where somebody came up with this idea, and they did it. It wasn't something I sat down and talked with anybody. It was something I'm not going to do, But then after the primary, I had so many people come up to me. I'm trying to sit down in North Wildwood on the beach with my grandkids, or I'm in a grocery store or a Target here in Philly, and people kept coming up to me. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I'm calling it a unity campaign. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're part of the Forward Party, the Working Families Party, a Libertarian, I don't care what party you are.
Right.
My main purpose is to be the district attorney for all people. I am not, when I win this thing, I'm not going to be the district attorney for Republicans.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the district attorney for Democrats.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be the district attorney for Working Families Party. I'm going to be the district attorney for Philadelphia, all Philadelphians. There's nothing about the political party when it comes to what are we going to do with these allegations of a crime. It's all about the justice on the streets. That's really what it is. So I'm truly running as a Philadelphian. It's got nothing to do with a party.
So what you're saying is how that looks is for the voter when they go to vote, if they're voting for you and they do, like, say they vote Republican for DA.
If they're Democrat,
right?
voting,
If they're Democrat, but they vote for you as the Republican candidate for DA, but everything else is Democrat. You'll still be working with if those Democrats are elected in the other positions, you'll still be working with everybody else, is what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
I mean, so as a judge, I worked with Republicans that you know, in terms of fellow judges and anybody else in the system. Of course, I did, and talked to elected officials trying to talk about, you know, the directions of the law and all that. So absolutely, party is it's blind to me, and you know, it's fine for people to come in and vote for the Republican nominee because it's truly only a name only. That's what it is. I'm still Pat Dugan. So I'm truly running for all Philadelphians.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, one of the things that sometimes I get fussed at, but I say one of my favorite Republicans was David O.
A good friend of mine, fellow paratrooper. Yes.
He's such a non-traditional Republican, and he used to do or be in spaces that most Republicans wouldn't be in. And I actually seen him do a lot of work, right? And I always said that although I'm a registered Democrat, that I'm for the people who are doing the work for the people, right? And so to that point though, right? Because you are giving me that vibe, right? The non-traditional Republican at that point, because that's what you're running for. So for someone, I want you to just walk people through that process for a staunch Democrat, right? That understood that you used to be a Democrat, right? Technically, right? Or formerly a Democrat. Now you're running as a Republican. So for a staunch Democrat that will be looking at this interview, how do you explain that you switch parties into now vote for you when you're no longer who they identify with, so to speak, the party who they identify? How do you explain it to someone?
Right. So people, you know, think I switched jerseys.
Did you
Nope.
switch? You're
Nope.
still?
I am still a registered Democrat.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember you saying
and
that.
I am a registered Democrat who won the Republican nomination. It wasn't something I sought. They presented it to me. So the alternative was that I turned down the being on the general election ballot, and then the current district attorney would be unopposed. And you know, the Republican Party could have put somebody else on it. There was no plan to do that.
Interesting.
So I just felt that democracy, in the birthplace of America, there should be somebody else running in the general election for such an office as the district attorney's office. So that's why I'm doing it. And again, I know what people, I hear people, I know how the politics are left, right. And so many fanatical people on different sides.
Everything's so divided now.
So you're a Democrat who the Republican wrote in.
Yes, exactly. I'm still Pat Dugan from Fairmount and Frankfurt, still the paratrooper, still the guy who did diversion courts. I just want to make sure that those diversion programs continue. They haven't really continued much in the last 8 years. And I also want to hold those people running around shooting our kids on the playgrounds. I want to hold them accountable the first time.
Right. So for those who might have fear, right, since you were written in by Republicans, for those who may have fear that you may share like views, right? What do you say to those people that are extremely nervous, especially as it relates to a certain party that has galvanized certain people to feel a certain way? Because for me, you know, we try to ask questions that some may ask, right? We don't judge, right? Because again, for me, is if you're working with the community and you're doing right by the community, that's who we want out there protecting the community, right? But then you have the lifers, so to speak, of a party who's affiliated to a party that no matter what it is, who it is, if you're Democrat, I'm voting Democrat. If you're Republican, I'm voting Republican, right? You're in this hybrid kind of position. So I guess it's trying to understand, or trying to get people to understand that your views are your views, right? Will they have to worry about certain parties that potentially have wrote you in that you might share those same exact views, if that makes sense here? Not that is wrong, right? But just that.
Right, I understand. So I'm getting it from both sides.
Yeah, I'm sure.
People on the left, on the right, Democrats, Republicans are saying, I'm not going to vote for you because you're the Republican nominee. I'm not, and I get Republicans saying, I'm not going to vote for you because you're still a registered Democrat. And I'm just asking people to open up their minds. Again, I'm Pat Dugan. I am the guy who did the eviction diversion program. I'm the guy who's a paratrooper. I'm the guy who gets off the step like his mom did. I'm the guy who did the eviction diversion. I'm the guy who did Veterans Court. I'm the guy who did COVID court. I went into the jails to take care of the people who were stuck in jail with just a mask to make sure we had their hearing so they weren't sitting in jail lingering while we were trying to wait for COVID to go away. I wanted to have them to have their cases so they're either released or the case moves forward.
Yeah.
But I'm also that guy that says, you know, I sat in a murder room for, you know, I was on 17 years. I sat in there probably 50% of the time. And I saw murders all the time.
Yeah.
And I just see young people all the time getting killed in our city. And I want to try to help get in there so that we don't have so many murders. But unfortunately, we still have to hold those people accountable who are doing it. And I believe I can help all that. I'm the man I am. And I don't have a label, but I know who I am. And that's what I'm asking people to just, you know, put your differences down and really take a look at what's best for our city. Who can be a good partner for Commissioner Bethel and Mayor Parker?
Yeah.
Who could be that third person to really work together to help our city be safer so kids can go to the playground, so you can walk to the corner store without being afraid.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to really open up your eyes, open up your minds, please, folks.
So since you've mentioned those entities, let's say you've been elected, it's day one. What does this look like, you know, your first 100 days? Because you mentioned, you know, Mayor Parker, and you mentioned the police commissioner. How will you work with them? How will you work with the community as far as the diversion programs and those community programs, the outreach, working with victims? What does that look like?
Yeah, because you sound like you are this great person, right? But
you sound like you're a great
person, right? But I mean, I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
I had someone say to me once, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So if people don't know you, how do they know to vote for you? Like, how do we get everyone to know who you are, right? Yeah. That's usually the biggest thing. Like, you're written in, and usually, like Charles was saying, people will go with Democrat just because they're Democrat, Republican just because they're Republican. And a lot of times people just go with the names that they know.
That's right. That's right.
So how do we get everybody to know your name?
Well, you're on We Talk Weekly, so I need to.
There you go.
I mean, that's a start.
So one of the
for
things
our audience,
just
so with their head, they have a clear picture.
Yeah.
So I haven't been a judge for 17 years, and pretty much the vast majority of those days, there are at least 100 people in my courtroom every day. So I know a lot of people. Every time I go out to a civic meeting, somebody stands up and says, you know, I was a defendant in front of you, Judge, or my kid was in front of you. And you know what? We didn't get maybe what we wanted that day, but you were fair. And I had so many people tell me that every time I go out to a meeting. But so Commissioner Bethel and Mayor Parker, they'll have a person who's going to be that third partner with them. I love what the commissioner coming from the school police, the programs he tried to do with the schools. He's trying to bring that into the police. He wants to train his police officers to handle crisis a lot better, to give them some training in how to deal with people in the throes of addiction, a mental health crisis. That's part of the stuff that I want to be involved with as well. Mayor Parker came on board saying, listen, we got to really start getting a handle on this crime. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job. And I think they need that third partner. And I think that's me, who's willing to work with them. Mayor Parker started the Director of Public Safety, this office, and Adam Gear is in charge of it. And right now, the current district attorney is not working with that office. He said it out loud at a forum. I will work with them because there's a lot of things we could do to work together. On day one, what I will do is I will start hiring local attorneys from Penn, Temple, Widener, Drexel, Rutgers, Camden, bring the local law students back, Villanova, because the current district attorney was hiring all these people from Stanford and Harvard, and that's great. Let's bring the best and brightest minds. The problem is when they came here, they studied the law of California. So they came here, they didn't pass the bar right away, and 68 out of 78 in one class did not stay. So they're coming, there's high turnover. They don't know that Broad Street is not called 14th Street. Mm-hmm. They don't know that Front Street is not called First Street. And I had to correct some of them in court. Now, outsiders come on in, but I want people from here because they're going to stay here. So I'm going to hire locally. But one of the other big things I'm going to do is because 8 years ago on day one, we had prosecutors who were geographically located. So you had a senior assistant district attorney in the Northwest, one in the Southwest, one in Central, one in East, one in Northeast, et cetera. And they were assigned up there to communicate with the community, with the PDACs, with the wards, with the civic associations, with the churches. So if there was a shooting in a corner store, that DA would communicate with the locals to let them know what's the status of that case. So you as a community member or a block captain could call up this specific DA and say, hey, Mary, what's going on with the shooting that happened at 52nd and Delancey? Mm-hmm. And the communication was direct. They were all pulled back into the office. So no longer did we have the geographically assigned assistant district attorneys. And I think that's part of the problem with the communication that's currently going on with the DA, where victims are not being called. Neighbors are not being told that shooting at the playground is this coming Tuesday. And geez, how good would it look if the community came in so the judge, the jury could see, wow, this community's concerned about what happened in their neighborhood. That's a very important factor in court hearings. So just simple things like that can go a long way. And I will also bring back, I call it boot camp, training for the DAs. There was a lot of allegations, and I saw it firsthand in court over the last 7 years, of a completely different style of training in a DA's office. There were a couple seminars about touchy-feely things, but nothing to do about the nuts and bolts in court. Nothing to do about how to communicate with the police officers and make sure they show up. Nothing to do about how do you call Mrs. Jones, whose son was murdered, and now we want her to come to court so she can, represent her son. That stuff ceased. And all that stuff is just common sense. I want to bring back the boot camp to teach the new DAs how to put on direct examination, how to cross-examine a witness, how to put in evidence, how to communicate, how to address the court. Instead of telling them, and this is what they told me, the attorneys told me that they were recruited to come to Philadelphia and be a public defender with a budget. Well, I want you to come and be a prosecutor who can walk and chew gum. When you see somebody that we need to put in a diversion program, you need to recommend that and let's do it. But when you see a person who's a danger to our community, we've had 3,200 murders in the city of Philadelphia in the last 8 years. Over 10,000 people have been wounded. Now, I did say I went to Afghanistan, right? That was a 20-year war. we had 2,459 military personnel killed in Afghanistan in 20 years. 2,439. In less than 8 years, we've had over 3,200 people murdered in the city of Philadelphia. That is just something we should not tolerate. Philadelphia is like a war zone. And I'm glad the numbers have started to go down. They need to keep going down. But, you know, we're talking about the whole picture here, folks. We need to stop the insanity going out. And frankly, the vast majority of the victims out there are young people of color. And, you know, I mean, when Strawberry Mansion and North Central and Tioga, when those neighborhoods are 400% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in the United States of America, or 300% or 280, or Frankfurt's 206% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in the United States of America. I don't care what the numbers are coming down. That is not acceptable, that our neighborhoods are 300 or 400% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in America. And that's something I want our DAs to focus on that. But I also want to help people that need help.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Not to change the subject, but this is how much of you wanting to help and change things. After 9/11, I mean, you are a honorable decorated veteran.
Yeah.
But after 9/11, you re-enlisted into the Army. I want to know what, of course, I mean,
Another
we
tour.
all probably felt like we wanted to do something, right? But you actually did. What was your driving force, and what was your goal? Like, what did you feel like you could do, or what areas did you want to help in, or feel like single-handedly you could do something? And then I just want to know, like, just like the mindset of, I want to do something, because this is how much this man wants to do something.
Yeah.
So my mother was my driving force.
Shout out to mom. Give mom another round of applause. Jeez.
Getting off the step. And obviously when we saw the towers go down, you know, what a moment for all of us that were, you know, alive, and we witnessed that live on TV, or if you were closer to it and you saw the dust and you were in New York, how that really impacted us all. So at the time, I'm a lawyer. I haven't been in the Army in 14 years, and I'm probably weighing over 250 pounds. Well, the Army ain't taking you in as a 250 pounder. So,
and you were 43.
I was 43 years old. And so I went to a recruiter, and they laughed at me because I was prior service. And they said, no, we can't get you in. And they said, first thing you had to do is go ahead and lose some weight. So that was one of the things that I started to do. I wanted to be part of it, because in the 80s, I was this grunt. I was an 11 Bravo, which is in the infantry. I was a paratrooper in a recon platoon. I was on the DMZ in South Korea. I was stationed in Panama for 2 years. I was in the 82nd Airborne. So I was one of those bad guys, right? I was a paratrooper. Well, now I'm a lawyer, fat, out of shape. So I knew I could help, though, because all those young people that were being called upon, I knew my experience could help them. I was able to lose some weight, talk the doctors into letting this 43-year-old man get in. And I went to a civil affairs unit where they bring lawyers, doctors, teachers, engineers, and the deal is you're going to go win hearts and minds. So I wanted to go over to Iraq to be that person in uniform who's dealing with the government, who's dealing with the schools, who's dealing with the hospitals. And that's what I did. So we were digging wells. We were trying to help give more materials for education. I let a send me toys, soccer balls, prenatal vitamins, pencils. I sent that home, and I got inundated with thousands of packages that I was giving out to local Iraqis.
Wow.
I started a women's empowerment zone, women's empowerment group, where we helped women start their own businesses at home in Iraq, which is unheard of. Wow. I was able to do that. And I was able to do this with some great young people, 18, 19, 20, 23, 25. And I was that sage old man, you know, I was that pop. And, you know, it was good to be their big brother and help guide them through some very rewarding times, some horrific times, because it was still a war going on over there. But I'm very proud of my service. And yes, I'd do it all over again.
Mom taught that's a way to jump off the step.
Yes. and now off the bench.
And now off the bench into the streets of Philadelphia.
Wow.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you for
Philadelphia.
all of your service.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I did have another question. I just wanted to know, with all of the work, because we did say that now you're, it's day one, first 100 days, and all of the things that you're planning to do. Are there any concerns with some of the executive orders that are being passed? Are there any concerns with those, getting in the way of any of the plans that you have to do? That you're, that you want to do for the community or working with people. Now we have, the issues with immigration, and we have ICE and all these things.
Sure.
Are there any concerns?
Yeah.
I think that if I was looking for clicks and donations from afar, I could talk about all these national issues, but that's not what I'm trying to do. This election is me versus the current district attorney. And in reference to immigration, I'm going to treat people who might have immigration issues the same as people who reside and who are citizens who live in Philadelphia. If you're going to break the law, we have to sit down and follow the evidence. And if you have bad papers and the law says that violent crime gets you deported, then that's what has to happen. But I'm not going to seek out, you don't need to be seeking out somebody because they look like something. They think you have bad papers and all that. But I will not do something that I know happened because I saw it while I was on the bench. Here's a guy who goes in to rob a bank, right? Puts on a note, I'm going to rob the bank. Give me all the money or I'm going to kill you. Hands it to the teller. Now he gets arrested. Now that person is not here with legal documents. I'm not going to be the DA who downgrades that charge down to a possession of an instrument of crime for the pen. It's still a bank robbery. You still scared the heck out of that woman who was the teller. It needs to be charged as a bank robbery. There was also a case that I know about where a man had 68 or 78 bundles of heroin and he was dealing it on the street. Again, he had illegal papers. The current district attorney downgraded it to possession of marijuana. Now, I'm sorry, but he's not the Lord and he's not changing water into wine. Mm-hmm. So how the heck are you changing bundles of heroin down to possession of marijuana? I am not going to do that because, we want to be dignified about folks who have bad papers who are here under some issues with immigration. So I'm going to handle it as what did this person allegedly do and then deal with it, just like I'm going to do it for the guy from West Philly or from Port Richmond. What are the facts? What's going on with you? So I think we got to be above the board, across the board for everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. When we think of, since you brought up the current DA, what separates you from the current DA? Like, what would be, your pitch or your selling point versus the current DA?
So when Larry became the district attorney, I'm going to tell you, I was excited because I was in there doing all these diversion programs. And I actually said to man, we could do this on steroids. We could help so many more people. I got to give a shout out to Seth Williams. Seth had all kinds of issues and all that, but he embraced diversion programs. And I thought the guy who says I'm the most progressive DA in the country is going to really embrace our diversion programs. It was the opposite. He actually has obstructed them. And our numbers have gone way down. Some of the programs have shut down. Some are probably going to be shut down. And there's only one that he really started. It's called the Emergent Adult Program. And every judge in the building has asked him for an explanation of it. And none of us have gotten it yet. It's in shambles. There's nothing going on. So most diversion programs are a partnership between the public defender's office, the private bar, the prosecutors, the courts, and it works. The community's involved. But if you're not all on the same page, they're not going to work. I mean, we had some great programs. We had one for Dawn's Court, which were for prostitutes. And it's not like Pretty Woman. The women who are out there on the streets right now selling their bodies for $5 or $10, they're being sex trafficked, they're abused, they're addicted to drugs, and they're selling themselves for $5 or $10. It's horrible. And Dawn's Court would actually have a great success when they were able to come in and be in our courtroom. We could save their lives. In 1 year, we had 18 women who were arrested for prostitution while they were in the program, gave birth to drug-free babies, which is unheard of because most of them wind up in Temple. Yeah. These babies come out addicted to cocaine or heroin, and it's terrible. In fact, my wife and I fostered one of those kids a few years back, and it's an amazing journey for those babies, and it's something they shouldn't have to go through. But so we were able to help these ladies. What's happening now is they're not getting arrested, and I understand that because they're victims. The problem is there's nothing else set up to help them because the court, we could force them to get help in the beginning, and then they embrace it. Yeah. And we have all kinds of testimony from them, how well it helped their lives, and we were able to help people. And those are programs that, where are these people getting help now? And they're just withering to die on Lancaster Avenue, Tarsdale Avenue, Kensington. They're winding up in body bags. And I just think there's so many more programs that we could be helping these folks who are just, they're victims of the whole damn system, but we could help them a lot.
Yeah. I know the current DA has a few programs that assist our returning citizens and those who are pushing against, gun violence. And so there are some programs out there, right? So do you believe that they have merit? Yeah.
So as I was saying before, I go into SCI Phoenix and I talk to convicted murderers. So yes, those who get out of jail, who walk that tough life, who are violent human beings at some point in their life, if they come out and they want to be mentors to help turn people's lives around, they've shown us that through what they did, whether it was in prison or when they get out, that all they want to do is keep those young people from going to jail. Oh my God, we have to embrace them because having a guy who's a professor who's going to say, oh no, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't work. The guy who hung on the same corner 30 years ago or 20 years ago, who went to the same high school, who walked in the same neighborhood, who can now tell me, don't do the same stuff that I did because it's going to ruin your life. I got 3 kids that I didn't see. They're now 40 years old. Now I see them. I didn't see them through their teens. I wasn't around to be their father. Those kind of folks helping embrace our communities to help us turn it around. Oh my, I think that's fantastic. And that's one of the things, as a district attorney, you have access to, tens of millions of dollars for all these little micro grants. And you know what? Yes, they need to be placed well. We need to help people in the community. We need to make sure what can we do with these kids when they're babies so that, they're getting schooling early. What is nursery school? They show if you go to nursery school, how much that's going to help you later in life. After school programs, lunch programs, these alternatives that they have in the schools for when there's a disturbance. How can we handle it instead of taking them out in cuffs? What can we do? No, I love it. And then these kids who are highly at risk, how we can bring those folks almost like a scared straight, having that 40-year-old guy who just got out of jail coming and saying, man, I was you. Don't be like me. Goes a long way.
Yeah, because I think even though, over the past few years, the numbers have come down when it comes to the homicide rates, we still have the increase in the school age victims of being gunshot victims. Those are increasing as well. So that's also becoming a concern. So just having those programs for, some of the students and the kids, I think that would be important.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kids need alternatives.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The streets are such a hard pull on them.
Mhm.
And we've had some folks over the last 8-10 years who were actually grabbing these kids at 13, 14 years old, putting a gun in their hand and asking them to go shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Here's a couple $100, go shoot somebody. And I mean,
Mhm.
men's brains aren't developed. The science says 23. I say it's much older than that. But I mean, young teenagers, their brains aren't ready to handle that yet. And they're going to do it for a couple $100. And it's a shame that,
Mhm.
they've been led down that path. And we've
Mhm.
lost so many young people to this violence.
Mhm.
I mean, some of the criminologists say part of it is because these young men have done a pretty good job of killing each other too. So it does ebb and flow in terms of who's available to be a victim.
Yeah. I have to acknowledge your work, because outside of the service you have been doing, I have heard of many who have been in your courtroom that you have done fairly, and they say it, so that deserves the flowers. And I believe that you would run not only a campaign, but if or when you win, that you would um, do what's necessary to continue to protect and serve the community. So at this point, I believe, it's about which side do you like like the best, right? And I think that it's one of those things. If you know the information, if you become informed, then you can make informed decisions, right? Oftentimes most people don't get the information that's necessary to make those informed decisions, right? That said, if there was information you believe that people should know about you that they don't know, right? What would you tell them, or what information would you give to say this is truly who I am?
Ask people that have been around me. And again, as you said, people who've come into my courtroom. One of the best things that I felt after I resigned from the bench, the calls that I got from people saying, "I hope you win." And these are people who've been in front of me, whether they were attorneys, clerks in my room, and that said, "I just appreciated how you were as a judge, and I hope you can win being a DA, because I know that's how you're going to be again if you can win this." Just that reputation, people know it. And I even had people who told me this. I see people out on the campaign trail who, again, I found their son guilty or they were guilty. And they come up to me and say, "But I really appreciated how you ran the courtroom. You always treated everybody fairly." And you listened to them. And, whether, what you looked like didn't matter to me. It was about what was the evidence there. So, again, I am Pat Dugan from Philadelphia, and I'm real. I really am. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I'm not out there getting coached what to say. I'm not looking at polls. I'm just being as real as I possibly can. This is me. And, my joy are my grandkids. And it would be so much easier for me to just go off into retirement, hang out with my grandkids. I had the greatest job in the world, as other than being like a bullpen coach for the Phillies, or, the long snapper for the Eagles. I was a municipal court judge in the city of Philadelphia. I love what I was doing. And all I had to do was coast into retirement, chilling out, all that good stuff. And I'm taking this mission on because I believe in getting up and helping people. And that's why I decided to do this, because that's who I am as a man. And that's sincere. It's just who I am. And I truly want to help Philadelphia for all Philadelphians. So, again, I'm not getting consultants telling me, say this, say that. No, I'm real.
Fantastic. If and when you win, you have to promise that you come back to the show and talk about that. Talk about the journey. Talk about, how you're feeling now. Do you, right? Before you answer that, or acknowledge that you'll come back. I'm sure you'll come back. But I would like to know what your life would be like if you find out that you have one that day one. You know, what would that be like? And, you know, would you sit on, like, you're sitting here saying all the things that you have done, would you change your mind, or would you pivot? Will you, now that you are to a degree affiliated with a different party, do you now take some of their ideals or you know, some of their interests in you with what you're doing and ruling, you know?
So yes, I will be back.
There you go. Then it gets. Let's pause right there. Give a round of applause. No doubt.
Absolutely. And what I can tell you is that if I had won in May, the Democrats would have no say in how I run my office. And if I win as the Republican nominee, the Republicans will have no say in how I run my office.
Round of applause. Absolutely.
It's going to be. I'm going to bring in good people, surround myself with good people. I never say that I never think I'm the smartest person in the room. It's going to be, I'm bringing in good people to be around me. I don't want yes people coming to work for me. I need people to come in, give me their best thoughts, their best ideas. I'm going to make the decisions.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to surround myself with good people. But again, no political party is going to tell me what to do. And in any office, kind of should be like that. But darn it, in the district attorney's office, there's no room for politics in there, in my opinion. There really isn't. There really isn't.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah.
I mean, my final thought was just like, do you have any concerns about, like, you know, once you win, your mental health? Like, how do you take care of your mental health?
Yeah.
Because we had Mayor Sherrill when she was just what was it, Democratic candidate.
Oh yeah, just a
elect.
Democratic
Yeah, she was just the elect at that point, and we asked her, like, you know, how will you, you know, take care of your mental health? What are you going to do? And she sounded like she, you know. How about you? How do you plan to take care of your mental health?
So, as a judge for 17 years, and again, somebody who's been in combat zones and all, you know, it's something you got to learn how to get rid of the stress. I will never stop going to see my grandkids play a game. I probably won't be able to go as often as I do, but you got to continue that family is first. I'm never going to lose that. I think that keeps yourself grounded and well balanced. My wife has been a fantastic supporter of mine. But I will definitely be talking to people.
Right.
I know. So as a judge, I had to have police protection at times. I had death threats. Even in a campaign in the springtime, I had some pretty bad threats against me as well. It's part of being in the public world today in this crazy day and age. So it's something that you just have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you that I'm not afraid to sit down and talk to a professional. There have been times in my career that I did sit down because of some of the things that were coming at me.
Yeah.
And, you know, you should talk to somebody who that's their job. So I have talked to a therapist or two, just trying to deal with things that are going on. So I do know I'm man enough to admit that, yeah, sometimes it's good to sit down and talk to somebody about it. So I just plan on surrounding myself with good people, getting good advice and just, you know, moving forward. Yeah, my life's going to change after I win this, but that's what I'm trying to do for the city. I'm going to surround myself with some really good people from the city of Philadelphia. We're going to take this on. We're going to do it together.
Yeah.
And I'll come back here for therapy.
There you
to
go.
talk to you guys.
Give a round of applause for that. Look, so I got one more question to ask you. I'm gonna throw you a little curveball because you know, this is one of those questions that everybody has a challenge with. If I was to ask you the one thing that no one else knows about you, about the Honorable Patrick Dugan, what would that be? Gotta dig deep.
So, as a paratrooper, jumping out of airplanes from thousands of feet, I'm afraid of heights.
What? Hold on, where's my scratch? What?
I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of heights.
That makes no sense.
You are a brave man.
So I got to tell you, when you're up in an airplane and you're 1,500 feet up, there's no perception of the height. So it's easy to walk out of that airplane into the air. But when you're up on a ladder, 24 feet up, oh my goodness, I'm not very good at that.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
And I guess I can elaborate a little bit more. If we got to go up on the ladder, my beautiful wife, generally speaking, will do it. So I'm also man enough. I'm man enough to admit that you know, I just don't do well on ladders.
Fantastic. Is there anything that stands out, a memory during your tenure, that stands out that you are truly proud of? I mean, literally, you had so many moments, but is it something that stands out that you were really proud of in terms of any of your either rulings or success of your programs?
So there's a gentleman from West Philly that was
shout out to West Philly. Yeah, we from West Philly. So. All of us actually.
He went to Overbrook.
Shout out to Overbrook. I'm from Overbrook. That's my alma mater. Go ahead. You want another one? Say something else.
I really didn't do my homework. I'm not doing. So anyway, my buddy, and I'll just say his first name, Donald. We had a really hard time when he was in my courtroom, back and forth with his addiction and crimes he was committing, and we didn't give up on him, and he finally got it, and he's over 8 years sober now. His first year sobriety happened to be close to my wedding anniversary. I'm taking my wife out to dinner. I get a call. He says, "Can you come to my meeting?" Because that's what you do on your first year anniversary. You bring people that were part of it. So my wife and I went out to 54th, and I forget what the cross street was, to see him on. Now, my wife didn't know where she was going on the way to dinner. So we stopped into the meeting to see Donald and for him to talk about, his year struggle. And we're good friends now. He became a mentor in my courtroom for other veterans. And even since I retired from the bench, I still see him. And he recently called me up to tell me it's 8 years now. So he's just somebody that,
amazing,
he's now back with he's now talking with his daughter. His daughter's back in his life. I was with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's talking about his grandbaby that he's seeing. So it's just, you can make a difference in a person's life, and it just ripples forever. So that is one example that he's near and dear to my heart. I hope to keep, I'm proud of being able to do that for that man.
Wow. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Patrick Dugan. I'm going to give you the floor to say, because I did it for, the current DA, but I'm gonna allow you the opportunity to talk to our audience to let them know why they should vote for you in this upcoming election. You had the last word.
So I have a body of work. I've been doing this for a while. I really can walk and chew gum at the same time. The diversion programs, eviction diversion, me going into the prisons, me sitting in a murder room and holding people accountable. There are some bad people out there. We need to protect our neighborhoods. We need to make it safer for our kids in the rec centers to be able to go play there and not get shot by somebody just gone randomly shooting down the street. People need second chances. I have no problem doing that. I've done it. It's my body of work. So walk and chew gum at the same time. People are going to be doing violent crimes. They need to pay for it. People who need a second chance, we can do it. We can do it together. I want your input, but I also want your vote on November 4th. I need you to make sure you get everybody to come out. I have a website, judgeduganforda.com, social media, Dugan for DA. I'm on TikTok and all those Instagrams, MySpace, you name it. I'm on them all.
MySpace.
Yeah. So just, do your civic duty, folks. Get out and vote. And you should always get out and vote. And again, I'm Pat Dugan. I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm real.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPM on P Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lawrence
and the beautiful
Lady Esther
and the gentleman
Pat Dugan.
This is We Talk Weekly, and just one thing that I say to our guests is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show, so you're always welcome to come back. But we will continue to lend a platform for people to give information to the community, and that's one of the most important positions that We Talk Weekly sits on. You know, there's always this discussion of we don't know, right? We hear people saying, I shouldn't vote, or why should I vote? You know, this gives you the opportunity to make those decisions. You can't make a decision without the information, right? So once you had information, now you're informed. Now you can make an informed decision whether whomever you believe. Do your research, but what we're doing right now is at the very least giving you the cliff notes, right? And so I'm your boy, Charles Gregory. Continue to follow, continue to subscribe, continue to share. And if you're feeling, you want to dig in that little pocket, make sure you donate to We Talk Weekly. Cash App, We Talk Weekly. We're everywhere. Make all the people who's listening on all of the platforms across the country, across the world, actually, we really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And we're out here like last year, y'all. Peace.